Well, let's talk to our distinguished guest, David Coleman, Professor of Demography at Oxford University. David, welcome. Good to see you. Let's just pick up on some of those themes from the film we've just watched, first of all. Let's talk about gender parity in this rather unequal world that we live in. How does the world make the world more equal for men and women?
It's a question of mixing changes in public opinion with changes in legislation. I don't like to rely upon legislation, but it has been very effective in Britain, generating equal pay for equal work, bringing up the pay gap to a much smaller level than it was before, and generally encouraging women in the workforce. So I'm afraid legislation does probably come first, but that tends to generate a change in public opinion, which is fundamental for keeping it going.
It's been suggested that population growth may be coming to an end and that the global population could start declining in the next 40 years or so. If we accept that, what's driving that?
Well, it's being driven by the realization that large family size is no longer a benefit, if it ever was, an understanding that family planning is available increasingly to more and more people in the world, and also probably some degree of overshoot. That in many parts of the world, population has grown rather too fast, rather too soon, and has had a lot of negative feedback in terms of standard of living accommodation, pressure on resources. And this is a kind of negative feedback from it, which will correct itself in due course. But for the time being, the end of population growth is surely welcome. And some slow, modest population decline, probably a good thing, especially in the light of global climate change.
Well, you and I are obviously in the first flush of youth, but let's talk about the silver generation for a moment. I mean, how might a declining and ageing global population impact the world's economic model? I mean, what are the consequences and challenge that arise from that?
Well, it's obvious that when the population is declining, it also tends to go hand in hand with a greater number of people in older ages who tend to be consumers of wealth rather than generators of wealth, and so the efficiency of an economy deteriorates. This is an inevitable consequence of population aging, but it's not the end of the world. Partly because as long as people enter old age in a healthier and healthier condition, which for the most part they're doing, then they can continue working for longer into old age. And the old idea that everything stops at age 65 and then retirement and senescence start to kick in is very out of date. We need to question that wherever we find it.
David, good to see you. Thank you very much indeed for your expertise and your time. David Coleman, the Professor of Demography at Oxford University.
Thank you.